What did you do to my sister? That's when her brother Hanif, he started to get upset. And he said, y'all bitches are gonna tell me what y'all did to my sister.
Sorry about that call.
I got escorted away from the funeral.
How are y'all today?
I think that was the last time I was seen.
Weeks go by without further contact from authorities.
Hard sometimes, but I gotta fight this.
Any suspicion of them has
Gotta fight it, fight it.
In the meantime, they go back
It's gone.
running wild.
Till I'm cured.
All the while, detectives
I'm not gonna
methodically
give
build
up.
their case against the Whitehead twins.
I don't easily give up at all.
And canvassing the neighborhood.
Ask anybody that knows me, I am one hell of a scrapper.
A gas station. And they
Whether
asked
you
to review
come
the
at
video
me
recording system for the morning of January 13th, 2010.
I'm
And
biting
they
off
observed
something.
the girls actually arrived at a local
Best
gas
believe I'm
station
gonna
about 10 o'clock
win.
that morning. They hitched a ride and did
Never
not
lost
arrive
a fight.
at Rockdale High School.
I can honestly
until
say
about 10:13 that morning.
I have
period,
never
and that they had
lost
missed their
a
earlier
fight.
class. They obviously
From
lied
the first
about
fight
being
I
at
was
school.
been in
More
to the last fight I was in.
yields further results.
A
And this
forensic
fight I'm going through right now is a
working
little bit
with Georgia
different.
Bureau Investigation
It
took
still
a
has
mold
affected me
from
physically.
the teeth of Nikki
And I'm gonna
White.
fight it
They
back
looked at the
with
bite marks of the
everything
girl's
I have.
arms. It was her opinion that
All
it's highly
that
probable
love
that
I'm
Nikki
giving,
produced that bite mark. We
I'm
felt
gonna give
like there was
back to
probable
y'all.
cause at that point in time to arrest them. So they were arrested in May
Because
of 2010.
I believe love can cure anything.
Even in handcuffs,
I believe
the twins remain defiant.
that even though I went through hell in my life,
Contemptuous towards us.
this
Anger
is just
particularly coming from
one
Jazz.
more
It
hurdle
gets
I
in
have
your
to
weapons,
overjump.
find a murder weapon.
And that once I'm done with this,
Jazz and Taz were charged with murder, aggravated
everything
assault,
goes right
and
back to
possession
the way it
of a
should
knife
be.
and commission of a crime.
After several
Yes,
years
I'm wearing this one
behind
because it's my
bars,
favorite.
Jazz and Taz officially confess.
I don't know. Let me check.
I was fighting for a long time. But it just to hear the moment, there's no what was on. I didn't know where we stepped. I thought it was a stomach and the arm, but it could have been anywhere.
So she's on the floor. You said she's still talking. What'd she say?
That kind of kids,
At some point in time, you did realize that morning your mom was dead.
yeah. But my mom very, very good.
I got a few of them.
Ultimately, both girls pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter, and they were both
And don't
sentenced
freak
to
out.
30 years in prison.
Jazz and Taz's descent into madness is a
Morning.
story
I got Mr. T going on here.
gone horribly wrong.
I think I rock it better than
I
Mr.
think
T
it's
does, though.
really unlikely that this story would even be possible if there weren't two of them. The fact that they were twins really escalated their dysfunction. They're feeding off of one another. And in a sense, they sort of developed their own matrix.
And in the end, it was their mother, the person who loved them the most, who paid the ultimate price.
Oh yeah, but everybody
It's
missed
back
Nikki.
on.
Oh,
Gotta make
man,
sure
she
it's
was
right
dead.
there on where
I
your
know
hairline
what
used to
Nikki
be.
wanted for them, and that's why it's so shocking that they're in prison when they should be in college.
This
living
one's
their
one of the
life.
best ones, other than putting a
And
stocking cap
just
on.
knowing that
Because with a
last
stocking
thing
cap
she
on,
thought
if you get in a fight like they do on Jerry
was her
Springer,
children
yank.
murdering
Yeah,
her.
this on.
It hurt
Oh,
me
yeah.
to my soul just to know that she had to go through that. She didn't deserve that. Nobody does. I still don't believe it. It's hard to believe.
Coming up on 2020 on ID, murder in a wealthy Texas suburb.
We had 4 high school kids that were slaughtered.
I don't know how anyone could do that.
And the friend left behind.
She cried most of the night.
She was afraid.
A dying victim leaves one one clue.
Within inches of Rachel's hands is this cell phone that she just dialed 911.
Still, for years, the case goes cold, but the memory burns hot.
See Rachel's face, she would literally start hallucinating.
What did she know?
What happened?
I thought that he was gonna shoot me.
And what does her husband have to say?
I think everybody gets to a point where you just have enough.
Deadly betrayal. Welcome to 2020 on ID. I'm John Quinones. Most teenage girls worry about fitting in. Christine
I can find it.
Paolillo was no different. But for Christine, who had suffered more in her life than most, becoming part of the in crowd seemed impossible. That is, until two popular girls took her under their wings, and Christine's own popularity soared. Then, just as suddenly, her friends were found murdered. And as Mary Fulginiti first reported in 2009, their deaths brought questions. Was Christine the true friend she seemed to be?
Clear Lake High School, just outside Houston, Texas, is the pride of its manicured suburban community.
There were all kinds of sports.
Say you're getting in
Our
a fight.
band was one of the top.
Bitch, grab your by here.
Kids of oil executives and NASA engineers roam the halls.
A large school, lots of groups of people, different
Not
activities
coming off.
going on.
And in the inevitable social hierarchy
Oh,
that
it's better
exists
to
in
wear
any high school,
Who's the
those little
queen
wrap
bee?
things.
Who's the wannabe?
Yes, thank you, Brandy.
Rachel Colorutis and Tiffany
In
Ross
order
stood on top.
to keep from
They were
looking
the
all
popular
messed
kids in high
up.
school. They were on teams.
Tiffany was a talented actress who dreamed of becoming a social worker.
Tiffany was a very fun person. She was always kind of moving and
This
bubbly
is
and
almost the
talkative.
color.
Rachel was into art and
See how
creative
it's
writing.
red?
And like Tiffany, she was blessed
Almost
with the
the
two
color of
things
my hair.
every teen craves: good
Naturally.
looks and popularity.
When you first saw Rachel Colorutis, she just struck you as this beautiful girl. I mean, she
I
could
like
have
this
been
one. It's
well.
pretty.
Rachel really, she floated a lot, but within her own group, she was really kind of top dog.
The same could not be said for Christine Paolillo, a shy outsider who had always struggled to fit in.
Christine was a girl who obviously had a lot of issues.
Christine tragically lost her father in a work accident when she was just 2 years old.
Put it back on the mannequin head.
Tell my children that Daddy wasn't coming home anymore.
Her mother, Lori, unable to deal with the loss, battled drug addiction and eventually lost custody of Christine for several years. And on top of all that, Christine was diagnosed with a hair loss condition called alopecia.
She would wake up in the morning and there would just be clumps of hair all over her pillow. Patches here, patches there. She became extremely self-conscious about it.
She even lost her eyebrows and eyelashes.
She started wearing wigs and started being ridiculed at school. Classmates would come up behind her and pull a wig off her head, and it became a very big problem.
She wore this red kind of wig, and she wore just a ton of makeup. She almost, I hate to say this, but she did look a little bit clownish most of the time.
Psychologically, to a young person, this can take a huge toll. Hair is hugely important to girls, to women.
Yes, hair is very important.
Symbol of feminine power.
But then, after so much suffering, things finally began to change.
Here's this one.
One day, very happy. She said,
When I first
"Mom,
took pictures of.
so they made two new friends who were the sweetest girls I've ever met." I said, "Who are they?" She said, "Oh, Rachel and Tiffany." She couldn't speak highly enough about them. How much fun they were, how loving they were.
Rachel's family, her sister Tiffany, mother Ann, and her father George weren't surprised she took Christine under her wing.
Rachel was the kind of person that always looked out for the underdog, always tried to help others, and because of this affliction that Paolillo had, Rachel really felt for her.
And they laughed all the time, and I saw such a change in her personality. Rachel was in her communication class, so they worked together as a team. And she took a lot of photographs of Rachel, and they had to put hearts around it.
Dr. Salt says the intensity of the relationship was understandable. After all, Rachel was Christine's entree to the in crowd.
That relationship would be extra important, full of longing.
Rachel and Tiffany were a year ahead of Christine. Aside from their friendship, they also offered her advice, including beauty tips. And with their help, Christine transformed herself from an awkward misfit into a high school Cinderella.
She was voted by the school 2003 Miss Irresistible, Clear Lake High School. They did it because they felt that she was the person who they just
Here's this one.
because of the
One
way
with
she
some
was, the
cut
person she was.
Rachel and Tiffany graduated in May 2003, but stayed close with their high school friends. On July 18th, the two girls were hanging out at Tiffany's house unsupervised, watching TV with Tiffany's boyfriend, Marcus Priscilla, and his cousin, Adelbert Sanchez. Then they heard a knock at the door.
Once they opened up the door, they were probably attacked within minutes and were met with absolute fury.
And this one is red and black.
What had been a lazy summer afternoon became the scene of a suburban massacre.
The kids themselves, drenched in blood. There's blood spatter that's on the walls. There's bullet holes from rounds that have gone into the victims and outside of them. And we had 4 recently graduated high school kids that were slaughtered. I can't even say just murdered, but literally slaughtered.
Sergeant Brian Harris says Houston police were as perplexed as they were horrified.
This was not a group of kids that would be considered thugs or gangsters by any means. This was an area that could be anybody's neighbor's kids.
It was an earthquake to our family. It was devastating.
People were angry and afraid. Nobody knew who did this. It was, young kids in the middle of the day in a nice neighborhood. I think people were scared.
Did you think of Rachel? What comes to mind?
Just a little girl.
It wasn't just the families who were in mourning.
All people, so it's such one.
The entire community struggled to make sense of the puzzling and ghastly murders.
Kind of hard to get this one straight.
Tiffany was the sweetest girl you'd ever meet in your life,
That's worth
She
it.
never had a bad bone in her body.
And Christine Paolilla's parents say she took the news especially hard. This photo of Christine had been found in Rachel's wallet.
She was very upset. She cried most of the night.
Did she stay home? She slept in our bed for 3 nights. She was afraid.
As the families and the community grieved, police were at a loss. Despite the vast amounts of evidence at the crime scene, there were no DNA matches, no useful fingerprints, and no forensics that could quickly identify who killed the teens.
On a case this massive, you go back to the basics and you look at your victims and you start seeing what their relationships are.
There we go.
The investigation would take time.
There's my red, black one.
But eventually, a compelling
I
image
can't
of the
see it too well
killers would
because of the
emerge.
quality of the video.
It would drive Rachel's family to launch
It
their
really
own
sucks.
crusade for justice and lead them to some shocking revelations.
People do some evil things, unfortunately.
This is going to be the one I wear today.
Coming up, chilling details about the victim's last moments.
Within inches of Rachel's hands, it's a cell phone. And that she just
But I enjoy it.
And Christine's
I actually
life
like it.
spirals into darkness.
I always wondered what it would be like to wear a wig. Now I know.
Face. I mean, she.
Sad that I had to lose all my hair in order to figure it out. Oh well. Life happens,
Don't let dust and allergens get between you and life's beautiful moments. Flonase
Who knows?
outperforms the
After
number
all
one
this,
non-drowsy allergy pill. It helps block 6
might still wear
inflammatory
wigs.
substances that cause symptoms. Pills block 1, and 6 is greater than 1. Flonase changes everything.
My daughter is
Nice
studying to
seeing
be a
y'all.
dentist, and she gave me
Y'all
advice.
take care.
She said, Dad, go pro.
God bless.